Race variant from worst to best. I decided to remake my old video as a lot has changed. Before we start, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can hit 8,000 subscribers, and let's get right into it. I'm gonna start this off with Arrancars. This race has probably changed the most after the heal variant was replaced with the charge variant. The worst variant is easily dodge. It has a lot of potential, but your dodges have like a 50-second cooldown, and the only way to regenerate them yourself is by hitting 0 Oscaras, which realistically nobody's consistently hitting that. I feel like dodge variants in a weird place where it's like it's either gonna be really overpowered or really trash depending on how they balance it. If they make the cooldowns too short, everybody's gonna be on it. If it's too long, like right now, nobody's gonna use it. So it's like really difficult to balance this. I honestly think it might need a rework in the future. And now for first and second, this is honestly difficult to rank. I'm gonna put charge in the number 2 spot due to the fact that it's received a good amount of nerfs since it released, and it's losing out on hero to get a temporary buff to certain moves. And I don't think that's really worth it in my opinion, especially because sometimes you won't even have the right move on because the buffs are different for every single move, and some moves just don't receive like a worthwhile buff in my opinion. Compared to the hero variant, it gives you a constant damage buff and a constant defense buff, and you regenerate your hero on every hit. So unless you're literally getting greened, you will never run out of hero. I do want to note there definitely are some builds where you'll want charge over hero, but generally speaking, I feel like hero just works better with most builds in comparison to charge. And if you're not planning to be a PvP sweat and just want a build that can just about do anything, I'd recommend picking up hero variant. And also, I do want to note before this segment ends that when I say charge variant, I'm referring to proficiency variant because I know I'm going to get some comments about that. But yeah, that's it for the Arrancar section. Generally speaking, just always go with hero variant. It can work with just about any build that you want. Now we're on to the Quincy section. I want to first talk about the worst and best Letz variant, which is going to be the blood variant. If you know what you're doing and you consistently switch between vein and artery, the blood variant could easily take the top spot. However, most people just don't do that, which is honestly fair. Even I don't do that. But if switching isn't part of your playstyle, you just won't be able to fully utilize this variant, and thus I would put it lower on the list compared to others. Also, not sure if this is actually able to be stacked with True Blood. If you can stack this with True Blood, I feel like it would just become 10 times better. Like True Blood, I'm pretty sure like right now is the best essence in the entire game besides for like Raging Ryatsu. So with that, this variant honestly just becomes 100 times better. However, I honestly don't have either, so I can't test that out. Also worth noting that your vein and artery are also buffed significantly when in Letz, along with the base Letz stat boost. So if you are able to combine this with True Blood, in essence you could straight up turn into a literal tank. Like you are getting crazy buffs and they're permanently active. It honestly could be one of the most busted builds in the entire game. Next, we're on to the Siphon variant. Whenever you hit someone in Letz, you restore some of your own Ryatsu. Stealing Ryatsu also helps build up a charge. When the charge is maxed out, your character does like an explosion animation and you let out a burst of Ryatsu. This burst also regenerates 35 Ryatsu and 10 blood. Honestly, Siphon is a solid pick as a Quincy, but I feel like the other two variants you have are just better. This could rank above blood if you're not able to use it properly, but if you are using it properly, I would rank blood higher than this. Best Quincy variant in my opinion has to be the boost variant. The main reason I would rank this so high is because unlike blood variant, you don't need any brain cells to get the full effectiveness of it. Boost variant gives you a constant Ryatsu regen, damage buff, speed buff, and defense buff that is 50% more effective than the other variants. Honestly, I just don't think anything else is really able to compete with the boost variant. If you get True Blood Essence, there could be an argument made for blood variant taking the top spot, but who has True Blood Essence? And even then, it'd be really easy to argue against this. Before I wrap this section up, I do want to say that every single Letz variant is viable. However, the main reason I rank boost variant at the top is due to its versatility in comparison to the other variants. Like you don't really need anything to make it good. It's just flat buffs and they can work with just about any build. Like it's just good in general. So I feel like for that reason, boost variant just a solid pick no matter what you're going with. Anyways, let's move on to the Soul Reaper section. For Soul Reapers, the way your visor works is that you get 3 randomized variants. You either get HP regen, which gives you 1.1 ticks of HP every second, Ryatsu regen, which gives you a flat 35% Ryatsu regeneration, speed, which increases your walk speed and flash stuff by a buff of 3, damage, which gives you a 10% more damage along with 50% more hero pen, and finally defense, which gives you a 10% extra defense. Not able to choose what 3 variants you get, unfortunately. You kind of just have to hope to get something good, but ideally the best roll in my opinion would be HP regen, Ryatsu regen, and then a third buff buff that complements the build you're playing on. So for example, my main build has HP regen, Ryatsu regen, and damage. This complements my build really well, as speed and bending he may lack in damage and drain a lot of Ryatsu, but my moves are super easy to land and combo with, so both my variants essentially negate the downside of my current build. Ideally, I would say go for HP regen and Ryatsu, as I feel like those could work for just about anything, but if you do plan on maining a specific Shikai, look for its weaknesses and look for its strength, and then just find 2 buffs that complement that. I feel like this is like one of the big plus sides of being a Soul Reaper, is that you can customize your visor, sort of like the other races don't have this option as much. However, the downside is obviously you do need to gamble, and getting the rerolls is pretty annoying. Like, you either need to get really lucky in Clan Wars or you need to pay money for it, which both are pretty annoying. So I feel like it's like a double-edged sword. Generally speaking though, if you're just planning on having fun and you're not really gonna you don't want to change your visor every time you reroll your Shikai, just get HP regen, Ryatsu regen, and then like damage or something straight up. It doesn't matter too much. Anyways, let's move on to the final section of this video. Now with that we've gone over every race's variants, we're going to rank them from worst to best. This might be a little controversial and it definitely is subject to debate. However, I'm going to rank Arrancars at the bottom of this list simply due to the fact that Vastocar doesn't have an actual mode. Double-edged sword, because you always have your buffs. However, the Vastocar buffs just aren't as effective as the other races, coupled with the fact that Dodge variant is essentially the worst in the entire game. I feel like Arrancars just get pushed straight down to the bottom just due to that. Number 2 spot, I'm going to have to go with Quincy's, just due to the fact that in my experience with playing both Letz and Vizard, Letz has always felt a bit weaker. I do have Ranger variant for Letz. The main thing that differentiates the new modes is the fact that Letz has no way to give you HP regeneration, which in my opinion is currently incredibly overpowered. Even with a little bit, you're able to regenerate sometimes even a bar or 2 within long fights, especially with the current meta playstyle of the game being passive, causing most fights to be a lot longer than usual. The other 2 variants, I don't think Siphon's variant effect is strong enough to push Quincy past the number 2 spot, and as for Blood variant, if you're able to combine it with True Blood Essence, you may be able to argue with Quincy taking the first spot. However, that's the rarest item in game, and I'm not even 100% sure it even works together. So due to that fact, I'm just gonna rank Quincy at number 2 spot. Once again, have to rank Vizard for the number 1 spot. It's the most versatile racial variant by far. In the ideal scenario, you're able to customize this to fill any build that you might need, with the only downside for this race being the fact that you do need variant rerolls to get the ideal Vizard. However, these are a lot easier to access in comparison to the True Blood Essence, and you're able to access them in more ways than the True Blood Essence. People also do sleep on the HP regeneration variant. However, if you guys have used it, you will know that it is honestly one of the best variants in the entire game right now, especially with how passive everybody's playing. Like, it feels like every single time I hop in ranked, every single person is just going to be mashing the S button. So while they're running away, I'm still going to be regenerating HP. This kind of also forces people to play a bit more aggressive if they know that you have HP regen variant, but even if it doesn't, you get some of that HP back. So I feel like generally speaking, or at least in my opinion, Vizard has to be the best variant in the game right now. If I'm wrong, correct me below in the comments, post your racial variant rankings, and thank you for watching and goodbye.